What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, we're going to get into some EPMD. Y'all like the strictly business? What about unfinished business? Get ready. Alright, Amir. So today on The Great Debaters, we're going to look at EPMD's unfinished business, the best 3 songs in this album. This album came out in '89, a great year for rap. And it's the follow-up to Strictly Business, one of the best albums of '88, which means it's one of the best albums of all time. And this really showed that EPMD had a lot of momentum and they were going to be a force, which they certainly were and remain for those that know anything about rap. So Amir, when you were first getting into this album, EPMD's second, what did you think about it?
Yeah, man, unfinished business. I had heard Strictly Business years before I had actually heard this one, so I had to kind of revisit Strictly Business before listening to this. I just kind of wanted to just have a refresher to go from, first to second album. And Unfinished Business, I mean, to start an album off, and this is just one of my picks, with So What You Saying, I was especially happy because as you should know, my favorite rapper is Ice Cube, and listening to Kill It Will, hearing Jackin' for beats, and hearing all the amazing production that he had jacked, pun intended. So What You Saying, when I heard that, I was like, oh, nice. Because this beat, honestly, this is one of my favorite singles in their whole discography. I think it's just incredible. Just the beat alone is
It's one of my favorite beats of all time, actually.
Dude, it's so
phenomenal.
good. And to start off like that, you're like, damn, well, there's no way you're going to keep up with that, because how can you? The standard is so high. But So What You Saying, just production alone, it catapults it in the top 3 all day. And then just what they're saying, too, I really like it, too. They're, sticking their chest out, they're bragging a little bit, like they're saying, they thought we'd fold, but 30 days later, the LP went gold. So What You Saying, I really like that line. The employees of the year were back to work. We took time off while the rappers got jerked. I like that one too. I mean, there's just a lot of just cool lines in the song. I also really like the chorus too. It's just honestly, this song is just so great. And I just really like how they started off and were bragging a little bit. So What You Saying, you know what I mean? And then they continue the album. And then they go into their other themes and concepts and some other bragging songs too. But this one, I just really like how they just came out the gate with this type of track.
Well, this is also one of my picks. It's one of my favorite beats of all time. And I love the fact that this is the introduction, really, of DJ Scratch as being part of the group. And his performance on here is phenomenal. And that was something that was really exciting to me because I knew who he was. And to see him getting his shine in the spotlight was phenomenal. So I was very excited about that. And then the lyrics were very visual, very braggadocio. I love that line that Amir said about 30 days later the LP went gold as well. Brothers on my jock for the way I hold a piece of steel. There's so many clever, memorable lines. Employees of the year, yeah, we're back to work. All these different things that go throughout the whole song, where it's just a highlight of lyrics, it's a highlight of sonics, it's a highlight of scratching, it's a highlight of everything that you want, and it was just phenomenal. I really like the video too. The videos usually don't have too much of an effect on whether or not I like a song, but I did like the enhancement of having a microphone in a box, having a jock strap in the box, the monk hats, to where it was kind of weird. And I know I talked to Dre from D.O.C, and he had told me one time that this kind of inspired or influenced them doing their sewer videos and their sewer motif because of this video. So that was kind of cool to confirm that, because I was always curious, and Dre from D.O.C, shout him out, confirmed that for me. So that was awesome. But this song, man, just to start an album, it was one of those rare times in my life, because I literally would only listen to albums straight through. I would never stop or rewind or any of that, because I wanted to listen to every song equally. But this was one of those where I was very tempted to wait a minute, let me listen to that again. But thankfully it was a single, so I didn't have that worry. And then when I was with my friends, they definitely played this song more than any other song on the album. So, that was a blessing.
Yeah, no, as they should, because it's just so incredible. But yeah, man, moving on to my second pick here. I'm going to go with Jane 2. Jane 2. And on our first album where we picked, our top 3 with Strictly Business, on that one I didn't have Jane as the pick, which I obviously liked the song, but I had, a few songs ahead of that one for sure. On this one, on the sequel, I don't know, I really like the beat on it just a lot. I really do. It's nothing really too flashy. I guess it's just in my groove, and I just think it's just great. And I just love how Erick and Parish are just, going back and forth. And Parish is basically, he's calling Erick and saying, I got a story, come over. But then he ends up telling him the story over the phone. He's like, I call you 10:15, well maybe 10:22. It's funny how artists will say a random time to just make it rhyme, or to be different or whatever they're trying to do. So I always found that interesting with the 10:15, 10:22. But then he's basically saying, he's at the club, he's doing his dance, he's trying to see the girls, and then he sees this girl, and it's funny to me how just some alcohol and a Whitney Houston haircut is enough to make him forget who Jane was. Because at first she had the Anita Baker haircut. So I was like, really? You don't remember the person who said you need to be bigger, stronger, faster? So then when
He overdid it, Holmes.
so then when Jane says that to him after, he does his business, he's like, oh no, it couldn't be. The J to the A to the N to the E. I always like when artists will call back to earlier songs in their career, and that's another reason why I always listen to things in order, because you'll miss little things like that, or you'll miss just so many callbacks to earlier things in their careers or discography. Right. And that's why I think it's very important. So I tried my best, since I'm, didn't grow up with all these albums. But Jane 2 I really liked, and I like how, they kept the series going. And probably people who listen to Unfinished Business at the time, they're like, oh, this is a recurring theme, maybe we'll see it on their next, which they did. So Jane 2 is my second pick.
That's not my second pick, or any of my picks for that matter, but it's a great song, and I really am a fan of how they continued and made that a staple of what they did, because I just think it adds a certain level of continuity, and it pushes their imaginations to how they can keep this thing going and keep it interesting. It's like a Trapped in the Closet R. Kelly style, way before that, of course. Mm-hmm. But since it's not one of my picks, one of my other picks is Get the Bozak. And I love that song, one, because of the beat, which we later see with Get At Me Dog with DMX. So I was always partial to the beat. But then also, as I've talked about before, I like it when there's a little bit of coding going on, and as I've mentioned before with Jim Browski with Boogie Down Productions and the Jungle Brothers, and then Bozak with EPMD, just different ways to, refer to different things. I always thought was hilarious. But I also like the fact that on this song, maybe it's the beat, or maybe it's something, it just seemed like it made them very focused and very driven to be lyrically super sharp, and to really be, disrespectful, arrogant, and chest thumping, like I think a lot of the best braggadocio rap does. And I think Get the Bozak is a prime example of that, and it just works so well with the Sonics, man. I love it.
That's another good one, and to start off the album, it had, So What You Say, Total Chaos, Get the Bozak, Jane 2, those 4 I really liked back to back to start the album off. My last pick is Knick Knack Paddywhack, which I still, they say that phrase so many times in their albums, so it's always like, I don't know why I always laugh at it, don't know why. But they named the song Knick Knack Paddywhack, and obviously this was the sample far before California Love used it. And I had heard California Love, on the radio before I even liked rap music, just as I was a kid. So when I heard this, I was like, oh, well, this came out before Dre, so that's interesting. So, I was younger, but anyways, this song also had K Solo on it. And at first, I wasn't that crazy about K Solo's verse. Didn't care for it. I'd say like the first 2 listens I didn't. And then it wasn't until probably like the 3rd listen I was like, oh no, I like this verse, and it's my favorite verse of the song now. It just took a couple listens. I really liked the way he was flowing. He had a long verse, and he starts to spell things out towards the end, which, he ended up being known with the Spellbound and other stuff like that. But he also misspells bird, which was very interesting and funny. And how things, just get released without people like double checking them or whatever. But no, I really like K Solo's verse a lot. I thought just to jump on someone else's track and to really give it the treatment that K Solo gave it, that's really putting yourself on a big stage, and people are going to be expecting stuff when your solo comes out, because, no pun intended, because now they're like, oh, well, this is the guy who destroyed it on Knick Knack Paddywhack, and then other songs that come from EPMD. But so he had my favorite verse, and then I think Erick and Parish also did great. Parish is probably my second favorite verse on it, but also the chorus was interesting because they kept trying to pass the microphone, but then they deny it, and they'd be like, we'll give him the microphone, then they'd rap, so it was like kind of interesting. It took a couple listens for me to understand what the heck was going on. But Knick Knack Paddywhack, man, that's my third, and I really liked the introduction and the spotlight that they gave K Solo was really good.
I agree with all that, but my third pick is going to be the Big Payback.
Ooh.
Now that one, again, this album, I realized that the beats really drove my picks for these 3, because these are my 3 favorite beats and my 3 favorite produced songs because of the feel of all of them. And I think the Big Payback kind of foreshadows a little bit of what we're going to see with Business as Usual, because it's kind of this story, a caper, a little bit of a crime rhyme going on a little bit that we get a lot more of with Business as Usual. And I just like the force and the focus of it. Again, I think this Get the Bozak and So What You Saying just have the most focused, most precise everything. Sonics, delivery, rhymes, flow through, as far as, even though Jane of course has the subject matter, I still think that these 3 in particular, they're just the tightest songs on every level of everything. And we get a little bit, even though Jane is what they're most known for, we get a little bit of the storytelling on here with the Big Payback, and just the beat, man. It's just, the song is just crazy to me. And I just always liked it, and I was glad and pleasantly surprised that they ended up making a video for it and getting NWA in it, because I really didn't think that this was a song they were going to end up making a single, because of, they had the Jane, which I thought they were going to, promote more, and then they also had like songs about dancing, songs about drunk driving. They had just all these different things that were going on that I thought that maybe, trying to think business minded, they might try to push, that might cross them over. But this is why EPMD remained rooted in the hardcore hip hop, because they went with Big Payback as the video, which I was always very appreciative for, because it came out, at least when I saw it, it was much, much later than So What You Saying. So I was glad to see that.
It's a great video, man. I was stoked to see that video too, because seeing NWA there and EPMD and just the visuals and the gun range and just everything, I was like, this is dope. So I was very happy. And I wonder what people were thinking in 89 or 90 whenever that video released, because the album was 89, but the video may have came later. I really wonder what people were thinking.
Well, I didn't.
It's great.
I don't know if I just happened to miss Rap City and Your Home TV Raps those days, but I didn't really see it that often. Whereas So What You Saying was on a regular basis. The Big Payback, I don't remember it being on nearly as often, but I do remember seeing it several times and always liking it, and again, just being pleasantly surprised. And this was also in the era, right, where I think the split really happened, to where the animosity between the East and the West got really, the seeds were being planted and really were about to fester. So this was kind of the last parts of that before the West Coast really started dominating rap. And, you know, that's unfortunate as well, because obviously both people from all parts of the country have made incredible rap music. And, you know, I guess maybe subliminally I liked the unity that we saw NWA being in the video, even though that didn't affect the early listens of the album because the video wasn't there. But anyway, before we get into a deep dive into all that, those are my 3 picks. You guys got Amir's 3 picks. Be sure to hit us up in the comment section, like, subscribe, and share to both Unique Access Entertainment and Rapping and Snacking on YouTube. Both of us, we guys appreciate your support. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
The Great Debaters, y'all.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on your TV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.